Welcome back to the Astrocraft Grow Influence Invest podcast. I am your host, Seth Mills, and joining me today once again is...
Your co-host, Nik Dawson.
Welcome back, Nick. How are you doing today?
Man, doing a little bit better.
Are you?
Yeah. Last week it was felt like it was a week and a half and a few days, and it's been a week and it feels like a few days.
Yeah.
You know, it's a week-to-week change.
Yeah.
Day-to-day change.
Right.
Hour-to-hour change. Just really depends.
So in today's episode, we're going to talk a little bit about how we got started in the two very different but similar industries that we're in.
Similar in the sense of service.
Similar in the sense of service. And I mean, in a sense, both of us do exterior cleaning, or at least you did.
Yeah, which I'm sure we'll get into that too.
Yeah, absolutely. And I am currently a college student. You are a 10th grade dropout.
10th grade educated kid.
Yep, and both of us have very successful companies now.
Yeah.
Kind of talk about the disadvantages and advantages of both. So, yeah. What major question here right off the bat? I'm just going to ask, what led you, or why did you decide it was a good idea to drop out in 10th grade? You were homeschooled, correct?
I was homeschooled, so that makes it even worse to be dropout, right? I mean, if we're being completely honest, it's like you're at home. It's like, why did you? I mean, so in all honesty, dropping out when I was 16, but I was still more ahead in certain things. So, I mean, more than anything, I like to make it a joke.
Yeah.
Just because, I like to be funny every now and then. So it's one of those where it's like, I don't want to ever, and maybe that's my, either the sympathy side or the whatever you want to call it. I'm just, to give either hope or to let people know that, like, look, ain't nothing wrong with college. There's nothing wrong with depending on what you're going for.
See, and not to be ungrateful, right?
100%.
I'm going for, at first it was at first it was cybersecurity, then it was computer engineering. Now I'm going into my senior year. I'm a year behind. I'll be a 5th year graduate, but now I'm going for business administration because obviously I figured out what I want to do.
Because you don't know right off the bat.
Exactly. No, absolutely. And see, I've always been very, very good with computers and IT systems, but I learned very quickly in college that I didn't want to do it for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
I would have been miserable because working on computers is, quite frankly, the most boring thing, or most boring job, at least to me, that you can do. So whenever you said college isn't...
Let me rephrase.
Yeah.
Let me rephrase. I don't think it's a bad idea to be in college if you are wanting to... I'm not sure what all business college stuff entails.
Honestly, it's a lot of... It's just... You didn't go to high school. You did online, I'm assuming.
For the most part, yeah.
So, in your experience, it was mostly blow off, right?
Yeah.
It was boring, and that's why. I mean, I don't know because I'm not you. Well, and we haven't talked about this.
Right, no, which will be cool because we'll definitely get into it. But, like, yeah, for the most part, it was a lot of online. It was a lot of different curriculums and stuff.
It was XYZ that you could look up, I'm assuming, on Google.
Yeah.
So, the reason I'm asking this is college is very much you can look everything up online and succeed. You don't actually have to know the material. And I will probably get slammed by a lot of people. I am a very quick learner. So if I don't understand something, google.com, what is the linear regression for XYZ? I only said that because I just learned it. I don't remember anything that and again, I'm going to get slammed because I Google everything. I don't remember anything I learned in the previous semester, much less 3.5 semesters ago.
So I guess for me, if you want to be a lawyer, if you want to be a doctor, if you want to be a psychologist, if you want to be literally anything that requires a degree, go for it. But I'm going to be honest, going to the doctor last week or the week before, going to the doctor and you're sitting there telling them kind of your symptoms and you're looking at whatever.
They're guessing.
They're either guessing or like my doctor goes in there with his MacBook and he types in all of your symptoms.
Google.
And he's Googling. He's got a degree. He's a doctor. But he still goes off of that. So, I mean, if you're wanting a degree to get into something that you really want to get into, go for it. Do it.
And not only that, but I've also noticed accounting degrees, right? Mm-hmm. Business degrees, because you have to go through all the accounting. You learn how to do it. It's just, there's so many programs on Google or programs you can download and pay for even that corporations, all of your corporations are paying for a major accounting software to where you just have to input the numbers and it does all of the equations for you. You don't have to learn that, right? It's just like whenever a little bit of older people were at school, right? And this is a fun one that I love because I can say I do it.
Right.
The teachers always told us, including me, and I don't, you were homeschooled, so probably not you, but
my mother.
Yeah. They always told me, you're never going to get paid to look out of a window. Well, I do window cleaning now. So.
Fair enough. I
literally make, and I'm not afraid to, at least I'm not afraid to share how much I make, right? I make on average $200 to $400 an hour cleaning windows, looking out of a window for a living.
Yeah.
That's 33 to 40%. Actually, I think this year I just did the math. It's like 60% of my business is window cleaning.
Yeah.
Looking out of a window, making money, doing nothing other than scrubbing a window clean. And I'm not hating on it. Let me add that.
No, absolutely not.
My customers, I love you guys. There are expenses that come with it, right? I mean,
you may make that much, but you have the expenses on top of that.
Gas, insurance, employees. I spent $4,000 on a window cleaning system. It's not just scrubbing a window, right? You have systems in place. I have to maintain that system. But $200 to $400 an hour.
And if you know you can make that, you're not going to go out there with a sponge and squeegee.
Exactly.
And try and make that whenever you know you can make more money, do more jobs, make more profit if you've got a better system.
Exactly. I mean, you're always going to need your traditional squeegee and mop, right? You're always going to need it on the inside of glass, inside of homes.
Mop and squeegee, not sponge and squeegee.
Sponge, yeah, I mean, same thing.
Yeah.
I mean, occasionally we have to use steel wool, which I'm going to get flamed in the comments on any of the social media platforms because they're going to be like, oh, no, that's bad. You're going to scratch the glass. Steel wool is the hardest thing you can use on a window to clean it. Quad 0. So 0000 steel wool is the hardest thing you can use, and the only thing you should use. I'm not talking about your Brillo pads that you get from Walmart.
Right.
But yeah, so things like that, they matter, especially in the profit sector. Because if I could do window cleaning and do away with my other two companies, I would. But I can't, and I won't because they all generate income. So, but going back to the high school versus college, right?
Right. So, I guess for me, really I made it through all mathematics, everything that you needed to know, which, I always forget. The one with shapes. Geometry. I was told I would never need to know any of that shit. Well, guess what? I deal with a freaking bowl of water every day. That varies in size on every single person's bowl in their backyard or their swimming pool. So I have to understand a little bit about that for the chemical side, for the how to run your pump, how to run your system. So, I mean, it makes more sense now. But before, just like you said, you won't get paid to look out of a window. You'll probably never need this, but I need it now.
So, with that being said, do you think that you should have finished high school, or do you think that...
I think it puts me at an advantage and a disadvantage at the same time. It puts me at an advantage in the sense of I tell everybody, all my friends, I tell everybody that is growing up in my circle or family members, people who have kids, finish high school. If nothing else, finish high school.
Because you've got the trades too,
That was
depending on what you want
I
to
was
do.
about to say. If you don't want to go into college and you want to be a welder, you want to do anything that could be trade, go to a trade school. You're going to learn way more about one thing as opposed to learning all the stuff that you're having to learn for business in your college classes. I mean, you're all over the place learning about one thing, whereas if you're going for a trade for welding, they're putting your ass to work
right out the gate, and they're helping you get a job.
Yeah.
So, I going to the
like
college,
an apprenticeship.
absolutely, and going back to going to the college side of things, being a college student, I would say yes. I would say the same thing. Either go to college or go to a trade school, regardless if you think that it's going to help you in the future. I'm not a big backup plan kind of guy, right? I don't believe in having a backup plan or a plan B or a plan C. I believe in having a plan A and dedicating everything to it.
Yeah.
Because if you have a plan B or a plan C or a fallback plan, you're going to end up falling back.
Well, even if your backup plan is going to be, say, the majority of the work that you get is from window cleaning, your backup plan's not what you're going to do with a degree or with whatever else. It's going to be your other company. And if that other one, your other backup plan's the other company, you're going to be able to supply your other company with the other two or with the other one.
See,
so your backup plan isn't really a backup plan, but it's something to support your current company.
Well, and I guess what I was getting to with the backup plan is I'm not going to college for a backup plan. I'm not going to college to get a degree to have something to fall back on. Say all 3 or 4 or 5, soon to be 5 companies that I own go bankrupt, right? Or whatever happens, right? I'm not saying I'm going to college for the backup plan. I'm not going to college to get the degree to have something to fall back on if that happens, which is very, very minimal risk to me if that happens, right now, because I've grown to such a large scale. Well, I'm going to college really and truly. One, I'm a first generation college student, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm trying to make my parents proud.
Yeah, absolutely.
2, it's nice to be able to say, oh yeah, I have a degree. My dad very much slid under the wire when he went to work and the position that he's at now. He very much slid under the wire.
And I'll get into that too on my side of things.
Yeah.
Just for perspective too.
Back into it. College. I think there is an advantage and a disadvantage as well. I am a full-time college student. I own 3 companies, 4 opening in less than a month. And so it's currently December 12th, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm opening another company in roughly like 19 days. Yeah, 19, 20 days.
2.5 weeks.
And so when that company goes live, I'm going to have to go into full mode, right? I'm going to have to go into full grow this business. I'm a full-time college student. In less than 120 days, I open a 5th company, or at least that's the plan. If right. Everything goes, and I've talked to you about this, we may be being partners in it. I don't know at this point. And that's fine if we're not.
Money's money, man.
Exactly. If it makes money, it makes sense. Yeah. And so that's 2 companies in the upcoming year. I'm still a full-time college student going to school 12 hours to 15 hours a semester. Yep. That's 12 to 15 hours a week of my life. Now, granted, it's really not because I am a very quick learner and I'm able to submit things quickly, right?
Yeah.
With that being said, it's still time out of my day that I'm having to spend on college. So that is very much the disadvantage. The advantage, okay, I have a degree to post on my wall. I have a degree that I can say, oh yeah, I've gone to college for business administration. I have the knowledge. And a lot of employers, they're not looking for the degree you got. They're looking to see if you went to college, if you made it through the 4 to 6 years that it takes an average person to go through college. I think right now the average in America is 5 years to get
Is
through.
it really?
Yeah, so I'm on average. I will complete my degree on average, but
Okay.
that's also with 3 companies under my belt right now,
Yeah.
in
So
Houston,
it's really not
Texas.
necessarily an average. It's kind of you're doing better than
Yeah,
however many whatever the percent would be.
exactly. And I own 3 companies in one of the biggest competitive markets in the United States of America, Houston, Texas.
Hmm?
So, with that being said, I think it's an advantage because I will have the degree and I'll be able to say, "Hey, I went to school." Again, employers aren't looking for the degree. They're trying to see if you had the guts, if you had the mental power, and if you had the willpower to go to school for 4 to 6 years or 4 to 5 years or however many years you went. If you got a degree, if you were able to go through that amount of time through college, again, they're not looking for the degree you have. They could care less if it's a degree in science or animal science. They're wanting to see if you stuck with it, did the work, and graduated and put in the time that it takes. Because if you did, then that's an advantage to the employer. If you're not going to start your own thing, that's an advantage to the employer by showing them you stuck with a specific thing for that amount of time.
Oh yeah.
You're less of
Oh
a
yeah.
flight risk to come into the company, work for a year, get your bonus, and then leave.
I would
So
agree with that.
I think that's the advantage of going to school. It builds your credibility,
Right.
or at least going to college or a trade school.
So I think I've given you a little bit of insight on kind of how my starting into this became because
Absolutely.
last week or a week and a half ago was the 2-year anniversary of my company.
Yep.
I'm 27. You know, like
Yeah.
it took a little bit longer than it did for yourself being in college and everything, you know? So,
Yes and no. I don't know. Did you, when you were my age, because I'm 22, we've got a 5 year difference. When you were my age, did you want to start your own company? Or were you thinking, were you the classic 9 to 5 mentality, work for another company, grow that company, work for them, collect a salary? Or did you have the mental capacity to say, I want to build a company?
so I had a 10-year plan. I had a 10-year plan.
Nothing wrong with that.
I didn't know what I wanted to do. So I was 15, turning 16. And no, take that back. The summer after my 16th, so I'm end of October is my birthday. So the summer after my 16th, it was about time, find a summer job. You're 16 years old, figure that out. And so my dad at the time, which had a lot to do with most of this, he didn't grow up in the pool business, right? But since I was 10 years old, 9 years old, he was in the pool industry. He was building pools. He was basically doing the stuff that for the people I work for, do most of my work for, is builders.
Yeah.
And so he was a builder, and that was primarily all he did. Well, then he got hired on to a manufacturer, and that's what he does now. And he's been there now for 15 years as of a month ago. So he's okay with a 9 to 5.
Yeah.
He's good with that. And with the amount of money he makes, he should be okay with that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But just like you were saying a little bit ago, he has a high school diploma. He doesn't have a college education. He doesn't.
Neither of my parents do.
Very few people in my family do. So it came time, and he was like, hey, I really don't want you. He goes, I want you to learn a skill. I don't want you to learn how to push carts at a store. Nothing wrong with it. But he goes, I want you to learn something hands-on. I want you to learn how to do something other than bagging groceries or checking people out at the grocery store. He goes, I want you to learn something hands-on. I'm going to have you work with my very first employer. And when I was 16 and 17, I worked with 2 different guys, a repair company and a cleaning company. And it was kind of like a 50-50 split. I would work with the repair guy when he needed me, and I would clean pools like 2 or 3 days a week.
Yeah.
So that way I could still do school whenever I was doing school at 16.
Sure.
And so started doing all of that. And then I fell in love with it. As weird as it sounds, 16 years old, I was like, I think money had a little bit of influence on that as well.
Absolutely.
But it like, you're talking 15 going to 16, and this dude's handing you $100 bill at the end of every single day that you go to work. It's like,
on average, that's $3,000 a month.
Yeah, if I worked every day.
And that was at 16.
That was at 16.
To a 16-year-old, that's a lot of money.
Dude, $100 a week is a lot of money to most 16-year-olds. I mean, so it was a matter of I learned both sides. And I was like, I really like the repair side. I always like working on stuff, fixing stuff, putting stuff together. And so I worked with him in a cleaning company. I learned enough from the cleaning company. He wasn't very good about explaining chemistry and stuff to me. So I was like, it was like,
kind of fending
I'm
for yourself.
I'm really surprised a lot of pools aren't like super fucked up right now. Like, honestly. But yeah. And whenever I started working with him full time, 1099, which if I'd have known then, I would have probably been able to switch it up to a different tax bracket just because of, or not tax bracket, but a different form to fill because of how everything was supplied. Anyways, something for another podcast at some point.
I'm bad about that too, but yeah, absolutely. Definitely for another podcast, but I'm bad about that with my guys too.
But regardless, I worked with him almost 5 months to the day. I learned everything about heaters, automation, lights, control systems, cleaners. I mean, you name it. If it had something to do with working a swimming pool, I was pretty inept with it. Like, I knew what I was doing. Well, the whole goal and the whole time I was with him, he was like, just like the last podcast, it was, I know you're not going to be here forever. I know you're going to start your own thing. There's so many damn pools in this, in this state, in this city.
Absolutely.
And so he's like, I don't care if you stay here. I want you to start your own thing. Well, me not feeling like either A, worthy to start my own company, which you don't really have to be worthy to, but not feeling like I was ready for it. I was like, well, I'm going to go work for a company that does full maintenance. I wanted to learn, my 10-year plan at that point, after working for him for 5 years, was I want to learn every single bit of this industry before I start my company.
So at what age did you decide to eventually start your own company?
So if you're talking at 16, I was planning, so what would that put me at, like 21, 22? Before that was like 5 years of me working with him, I was like, I want to learn a little bit more before I start.
Yep.
At that point, I had put in my head that this is pretty much the industry I'm going to be in. I was like, okay, I'm going to learn how chemistry works to a T, where I can explain it to anybody in layman's terms. 2, I want to learn how to start up a swimming pool from scratch. Make sure I don't fuck up the plaster or anything in the swimming pool. 3, I also want to learn how to build a pool. Those were the things that I wanted to learn. That way, if I did get into any industry of this, or any part of this industry, if I hired somebody, I didn't want somebody to tell me something
and you not know,
and me not know,
or have questions.
That way, if somebody comes to me and they go, "Oh no, I did this, this, and this," no, you didn't, because I know I've done it. So it really was. I went to work for a company, held their service side together for about a year. No room for improvement there. Little bitty company. They had about 50 pools we were cleaning on top of about 2 to 3 startups a week.
Is this
not the company you're thinking of?
Okay.
This was before them. Then that company approached me while I was driving the other company's vehicle, and they wanted to hire me.
One of the owners? Or was it a manager that approached you?
The owner.
Okay.
Of the other company.
Yeah, the one that I'm thinking of.
The one you're thinking of.
Okay.
He called me and wanted to sit down for dinner. Well, in my naivety at the time, I had a non-compete.
Yeah, but in Texas, non-competes,
But to a 21, 22-year-old, barely kind of getting out into everything.
Barely knowing and having a better knowledge of everything.
Knowing the legalities, knowing how everything really works. because really there was no non-compete by the time I left because they dropped 60% of their clientele for maintenance whenever I left because they couldn't maintain it themselves.
Yep. For sure.
So I went to work with them, started their service side. So I
Yep.
know how to start that. I know how to do everything to get it going. So that's what intrigued them to get me going with them. So we started that up, and I worked for them for about 1.5 years, almost 2 years.
Yeah, yeah.
And dude, at some point when you're like, hey, you're the manager, you're the maintenance manager, and you don't move up or they don't get anybody to hire on to make it to where you can manage,
It kind of bottoms out.
it bottoms out. You're just a fucking pool boy at that point.
You're a pool boy with a new title.
Exactly. With a cool, fancy title that makes you feel special, something to put on Facebook.
And that's all it was. Because did it come with a pay raise?
No.
See, that's literally all it was something to make you feel appreciated without giving you an incentive to stay.
Exactly. And at that point, I was doing some side work.
Like we now know a lot of their employees do.
To make up for stuff that I couldn't get from that company, but I could have brought that business, but nobody came and approached me to see how to grow anything. They were just like, keep cleaning pools. So after working with them, I then moved to god-awful fucking League City.
How'd that go?
With the expectation and with the job title, I still have all the paperwork as a general manager or like a superintendent.
See, I don't know a whole bunch about your League City information, but...
Man, okay, so we won't get into the personal side right now. That'll be for another time. But moving to League City, I got hired on to build swimming pools.
Yep.
Which was in my 8th year of the industry, which I was like, I'm on track on what I wanted.
That was your 8 out of your 10-year plan.
Yeah, exactly. I wanted to be, by 10 years, I wanted to have built 10 pools.
Which would have set you at what age? 25?
Yeah, 25. That'd put me at about 25, almost 26. By 26, I should have, built at least 10 pools in my mind.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I moved down there with my experience and my knowledge of swimming pools in my industry. And they also hired a secondary guy to do my same job. That was a manager at Subway.
So
The
how
sandwich shop.
Did you ever, because I never heard about this, did you ever find out why they thought they could hire somebody from Subway versus somebody who's been in the industry for 8 years?
So they hired both of us, one, because my boss at the time in League City was he got in the industry way, like probably 4 or 5 years before I moved there. So
Yeah.
I've been doing a little bit longer, but he's been building. That's one thing he's got on me. And so by the time I moved down there, they hired both of us because during COVID was a huge boom for the swimming pool industry.
Yep.
You couldn't go on vacation, couldn't go anywhere. So if you were going to vacation, you were going to vacation in your backyard with the swimming pool. So interest rates were different. You could refinance your home, add the pool in there. So they were really in it at the right time. So
interest rates were like 2%.
Oh, dude,
maybe.
nothing.
They were like 1 to 2.5%. I mean, for a swimming pool, that's unheard of.
Dude, you think about it. You have a $500,000 home, you had a $200,000 swimming pool, and you refi it at 2%. People were doing that all over.
Oh, yeah.
So they boomed. Well, they made a shit ton of money. So when you make a shit ton of money, you spend a shit ton of money. Unless you're smart about it sometimes.
Yep.
So it was a lot of I'm real good friends with the bar over here, and I'm good friends with the owner that owns this bar or the owner that owns this steakhouse. So they found this guy that was a bar hop. But knowing his manager experience, they thought, oh, well, we can hire him too. They never really gave me the opportunity to do that because once I moved down there, had an apartment, had a lease, brought everything that I own down there.
Yeah.
And pretty much got it to where it was like, okay, well, we're gonna have you do some startups and some pool schools and stuff, but you're also gonna build pools.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, the Subway guy building pools mainly, only. Well, one fuck up because they had pulled me away, and another super that was supposed to be there, not the Subway dude, said, "Oh, hey man, you do that, I've got this."
Yeah.
Major fuck up on a job. That got pointed back at me because I wasn't there, even though I got pulled away. From that point, they put me in the service side, so I was basically doing the same thing that I did for the previous company, starting up a service side. At that point, I was at 9.5 years.
And you, I don't know, I'm just going to go on a guess here. You were like, okay, yeah, no, I'm not doing this. And then that's when you branched out? Or
Bro, I literally had a year lease, and about 9 months later, I moved away back to Conroe.
to when I met you?
To whenever, yeah. This was before the company even started. I was trying to make that extra money doing a side job.
Yeah, because I remember I met you before you even moved back to Conroe. You were still living in League City. You drove up for that job. We met through a mutual friend.
Yeah.
Right at 3 years ago. We met at through a mutual friend, or maybe 3 years.
It's about 3 years. Yeah.
About 3 years. We met through a mutual friend doing that side job for you, main job for me. That was my biggest job up until that point.
Right.
Because I had just started my company.
So from that point, whenever I was like, dude, I can't do this anymore. One, I was working more hours than I am now for this other company, making them a ton of money, going, dude, if I'm not gonna build pools, if I'm not gonna do what I really want to do, I'm gonna start my own company.
And you're gonna go out and do your own thing.
So December 6th, 2021, it was actually 2 weeks sooner than I was wanting to start it, but I was forced to start it because I had no employment at the time.
So you had to start it to obviously make income.
To make income.
And live.
To go live back at home for about 2 months and still pay for my apartment so I didn't break my lease down in League City.
Did you eever have to break your lease? Or did you just pay the whatever it was? What was it, like $1,200 a month?
$1,400.
Oh, $1,400 a month. So you're out because of that company. You're out roughly $4,200 and just rent payments
for somewhere that I'm not even living, just to move back to start something. And thankfully,
worked out.
I had parents that were willing to front money
and invest,
and me even given some other personal past things that I'm sure at some point we'll get into because I'm not afraid to talk about it. But some things that my old man was high strung as hell whenever that happened because he knew some of the shit I was into, but still went out on a limb, made it happen. He's been paid back 100%. And
then some, right?
And then some as an investor. So,
because if I'm correct, they actually hold stock in your company or shares.
Basically, we all, me, my old man, and my mom. My mom pretty much runs the operations of everything. Calls that come in, calls that go out. She basically runs taxes, everything. She runs all the books and everything. But yeah, they both own a percentage of the company.
If you don't mind me asking, and tell me if you do you still own majority?
Yes.
Okay. I was curious.
Yes.
Because this is coming from somebody, because I own 100% of everything I have across all three companies.
100%, yeah.
I've thought about taking investors. In the fifth company, not the fourth that's opening in January, but the fifth company that's opening in hopefully March or April, I've considered you being a 50-50 or a 49-51 partner.
Right.
I was just curious as far as that standpoint goes with your company.
Right.
How much,
so,
if you own majority, what you do?
I'll have to go back. I know I own majority. I don't know 100% percentage-wise. I can't remember what the agreement was on that, just off the top of my head. But I couldn't run it by myself.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
I mean, just, again, we're not afraid to talk numbers here, but first year, balls to the wall, making over six figures.
See, in first year for me, I made less than six figures. But you also went, like you just said, balls to the wall. You were working every weekday, minus holidays.
Dude, I was working 6 days a week.
You were working 6 days a week. I was not the smartest idea, but my first year, I was working maybe 2-3 days a week, and I was making. I think the first year that I did, I think it was right under like 60 grand or 50.
Yeah.
No, it was right under 50,000. Second
But
year,
as a college student,
and as a college student, second year, 60,000. No, second year was 75,000.
yeah.
Third year going into business now, I'll make six figures. Again, that's as a college student. That's also only working on average. I mean, over the course of the year, I think that I've taken like a total of. This isn't going to sound good. And this is not including weekends. With weekends, I'm sure it's over 150. This is taking like 120 days off. I mean, 3 months of the year, I don't work. Obviously dispersed. It's not like, oh yeah, January through March, I'm not going to work. You know, it's over the course of the year. But, and then in January 11th, actually, my truck went out of commission this year.
That's right.
I did not have a truck from January 11th through February 28th, actually, or 27th. I don't remember if it was a full. Yeah, it was. It was a leap year. Or it wasn't a leap year. It was 28, February 28th. April, like, 3rd, I got my new truck. So 3 months of this year, I didn't have a truck. I was bouncing back and forth because at the time my dad owned a Yukon. I was using his car because insurance wouldn't pay for it. The manufacturer finally got me into. Actually, I don't even care.
I was going to say, I don't know what your legalities are on it, but you.
GMC. I had a 2021 GMC truck with 67,000 miles on it. And I had thankfully, we know the owners, or my family knows the owners. My dad knows the owners of the dealership, right, that we bought it from, and the 7 or 8 dealerships that they own. And so when we contacted the dealership, they knew already what was going on. The owner, we know all 3 of the owners of the dealerships.
Yeah.
They were very helpful. They finally got me a loaner vehicle. So I went without a vehicle for like a month and a half.
Yeah.
And then I had a loaner vehicle. And then I got my new truck. And then about 3 months of owning this new truck, the AC went out. The truck went back to the manufacturer, to the dealership. I was out of a truck for about a month, but I had about 2 weeks. They were pretty quick because the owner of the dealership told them. He didn't even know that the truck was there. He found out, and he went down to the service manager and said, "What the hell is this truck doing here? Why are they having another issue with another truck with a different brand, manufacturer of truck?"
Yeah.
The AC went out. They had to replace the entire AC coil and condenser in the 2022 F-150 that I drive. So I faced quite a bit of challenge this year.
Oh, 100%.
3 months without my truck.
No doubt about it.
3 months without a truck. 3.5 months without a truck, truly, if you count the new truck going down. Thankfully, whenever the new truck went down, it was a week before we left for a week vacation over July 4th.
Yep.
We left for the 1st through the 7th or 8th. And so I didn't need it then, and I really did need it the week before, but I made it work.
Right.
So, and you're going to laugh at this one. It's going back to the manufacturer this week, tomorrow, actually.
For what reason?
This is a minor one. The tail light has condensation building inside, water building inside of the tail light. So, yeah, I'm going back tomorrow. Hopefully it'll be a quick fix. They should be able to say, oh, yeah, it's warranted. There's no cracks. Because, I mean, I haven't damaged the vehicle.
Buy a Toyota.
Okay, Mr. Tailgate Issues.
67,000 miles in, 2 years
I was
old.
at 67,000 miles at 2 years old with my GMC, and you know what happened? The engine went out.
The engine went out and my tailgate's broken. Do we want? So, yeah, no, you faced a. So I think I've asked you this before, but I know the whole deal with Best Buy. But what ended up getting you into? Because it was pressure washing first.
It was.
So I mean, I know your dad didn't pressure wash. Because I mean, I know a lot of my stuff comes from like family and people that I know.
Absolutely.
But what got you into the pressure washing, window cleaning, exterior lighting? What got you? What really made your gears go?
So, actually, I'll start from the beginning because this was like, I think it was July, mid-July, right? And I was working at Best Buy mid-July, like 2021.
Okay.
Or 2020. It was mid-July 2020, actually. I was working at Best Buy. It was during the middle of COVID. And, man, that year, it was bad. So I was working at Leslie's Pool Supplies when we met, actually. Or when I don't know if that may not have been when we met, but it was when I was working at Leslie's Pool Supplies that I met Ty.
Oh.
And we met through Ty. So that same job that you came on to when you were living at League City, I came on to when I was working for Leslie's Pool Supplies. And I had met Ty because he came in one day to buy some stuff. And obviously we both know for people who don't know, he owns a pool cleaning company. And so he came across a job. He was trying to start getting into building pools, remodeling, everything. So I had been working for Leslie's for like less than 2 months.
Mm-hmm.
He came in. I told him that's whenever I was like looking at pressure washing, and I'm like, because the originally my grandmother, it was through family.
Okay.
My grandmother asked me to come over. It's stupid. It sounds so stupid right now talking about it. My grandmother asked me to come by and pressure wash her driveway, and I'm like, okay, I'll get it done. You know,
just a common household chore.
Exactly. And she lives 45 minutes away at the time. She still lives 45 minutes away, but we're in a new house now. So she lives 45 minutes away. I go down there. I'm using the wand pressure washing her driveway with my dad's garage pressure washer. Nothing commercial, right? Just a residential pressure washer and a wand. And I'm like, there's got to be a way to do this quicker and better.
Yeah.
And so I look it up and I find a surface cleaner. And so what if y'all don't know what a surface cleaner is, it's basically a round disc with 3 spray nozzles on it that turns in a circular motion and cleans the concrete, right?
It's one of those satisfying videos you find on TikTok.
Yes. And so I look it up. I'm like, okay, I'm going to buy one. That way it makes it easier on me. Because at that point, I only got done with like half of her driveway, maybe. And you could see lines everywhere. Yeah. So I go Home Depot, buy it, go back, finish cleaning it, and it looks pristine, right? And so I start doing research, and I'm like, okay, you can make money doing pressure washing. Like, I didn't know how much just pressure washing. I mean, windows, like I mentioned on the previous podcast, window cleaning can go for fucking $200 to $400 an hour. Pressure washing, the same thing, if not more.
Yeah.
I mean, there's been times where I've made $1,000 an hour on pressure washing, and that does not include drive time. But there was one job that I quoted, and I'm very happy to admit this. If the customer has an issue with it, I quite frankly, I love my customers, but I do not care if they have an issue with me admitting this.
Yeah.
Within 15 minutes, I made $2,300. $2,300 within 15 minutes, which equates to like 7,000 or a little over 7,000. I don't know. I'm sure one of the people in the comments will.
My 10th grade education having ass won't figure that out right now. But yeah.
But I'm sure somebody in the comments will say, oh, you couldn't do that simple math really quick and you're in college. Yes, I could not. But
bank account says different.
Exactly. So I was making like 7,000 an hour on that job, and I'm very happy to admit it, right? I didn't know you can make that much amount of money. I printed some business cards, threw them down on to the gas station at my local convenience store. And keep in mind, at that time, I was living in a population of like 1,200. My graduating class was like 81 or 82 in high school. Coming from a population where my graduating class would have been like 1,200 to 1,500, moved to a different high school, threw my business cards down at that gas station. At that time, I had just graduated high school, just started college, and I get a call for a storage complex. And at that time, I'm like, okay, cool. Like, this will be a couple $1,000s. Like, so I join a Facebook community. I post about it, and I'm like, is there anybody in Houston that like can help me quote this, help me do the work, blah, blah, blah. I met a guy named James. He is a year younger than me. He is 21 years old. Cool dude. He helped me get into pressure washing. He's the reason that I am where I am today. And I am very happy to admit that. I'm proud. There's been some like back and forth. There's always drama, regardless of the industry or workplace. If you work for somebody or you work for your own, there's been drama thrown around. But I don't look into it. I mean, people have put words in my mouth. People have taken the words that I've said and twisted them. I think, at least on my end, I have no hard feelings, and I don't think he does either.
No.
But he helped me get into the industry. He helped me grow my company, and he kind of taught me the ins and outs, right? So I learned, and I did what I needed to do. At that point, I went from Leslie's. I think I stayed there 2.5, 3 months. Went to Best Buy again because I had worked at Best Buy from 2018 to 2020. Quit, went to Leslie's, quit Leslie's, then went back to Best Buy
Before you got blacklisted.
before I got blacklisted. Funny enough, I'm almost 100% certain because I was told by one of my old coworkers, I am also blacklisted at Leslie's. So I am blacklisted from working for 2 different companies now, and I'm 22 years old. Forever getting a job at those 2 companies again, which is fine with me. I mean, there's no hard feelings, right? But because I'm not going to be working, at least, this may again be my arrogance talking. I'm not going to work for another person in my life. I would rather go homeless like you. No.
Still.
Yeah. I'd rather go homeless than work for another person in my life. Just because I love the money factor, and I also love not having to answer to anybody.
When you have the work mentality to go knock on 200 or 300 doors in a day if you absolutely fucking had to.
And I've done it.
Yeah.
I've done it. I've completely done it. Out of every 100 doors you knock, expect to land anywhere from 3 to 10 jobs.
Yeah.
If you land more than that, then you are probably the top 1% of the service industry.
Yeah.
And for everybody who's saying that you can't knock doors if you're in a specific industry, yes, you can. Yes, you can.
Mine's a little bit different.
For warranty, yes.
Well, not even warranty, but pool stuff that's related. Not everybody has a swimming pool.
No, but you can still go knock on doors. You may not hit the 3 to 10.
Google Maps.
Google Maps, absolutely. I use it. Google Earth, man.
Oh, yeah.
Dude, even if you're just starting a pool cleaning company, you can go knock on 100 doors. If you select a neighborhood that has a lot of pools, you can still land 5 individual cleanings if they don't even sign up for monthly. And it might sound sleazy.
As far as growing that, though,
you can still grow it because that's how I grew my window cleaning business, for 1, for starters, my pressure washing business for 2, for starters, and my Christmas light company. The Christmas light company cherished and grew because of the window cleaning and power washing company that I grew. And I will say 60% of my customers today that return are door knocked clients.
Well, yeah, 100%. Maybe we just have a little bit of a different thought process on certain things. That's okay. But for me, if I was to start over and start something as far as cleaning or anything like that, I'd go to some builders.
I would too. And again, looking back on it, that's another part. I mean, we've been recording for 53 minutes, so we're about to have to end it here in the next 10 minutes anyway.
Damn.
But if I was to do it differently, for you, like you said, builders, contact builders directly, right? I would contact any commercial place around me, because that's another thing. In 2024, I'm about 75% residential, 25% commercial. Yeah. I am trying to move that number as much commercial as I can and reduce the amount of residential clients that I have. If I could do that, and again, there's been some speculation in the market because I put my trailer up for sale for pressure washing. I'll clear the air right now. I'm going to a 100% subcontracting model for pressure washing, not for window cleaning and not for Christmas lights. I'm going to a 100% subcontracting model for pressure washing in 2024 as of right now. If I could flip the odds and go to 75% commercial, 25% residential, I'd do it in a heartbeat. There's some disadvantages. There's a net 15, net 30 pay, net 90 in some cases. I would rather wait 90 days to get my money. The money I know is going to hit my account within the 90-day, 30-day, 15-day period. With residential, I have to chase my money down half the time.
True.
You don't have to worry about it because you're a manufacturer. Or you're not the manufacturer, but you work for a manufacturer. They pay you within a set amount of time, right?
90% of what I do is warranty. Yeah, 100%.
So you get your money from the manufacturer, which is a commercial entity. You're not directly, for the most part, not directly working with the end user, right? You're a middleman. You're there to solve the issue, not install the product.
Oh, for sure.
For 90% of the time. Me, 75% of the time, I am working directly with the residential customer.
100%, yeah.
They want an extra. They want something thrown in, which is not a problem. Don't mind it, whatever. 90% of the time, I'll do it for free. The issue is the tickets are much smaller than commercial jobs. Mm-hmm. They are a little bit more difficult and picky, which isn't an issue. If you're paying for your house to be cleaned or windows or whatever to be cleaned, I understand being picky, right? However, at a certain degree, if we miss a cobweb or and I'm not talking about a big one, I'm talking about one strand, and the customer comes out or one speck of dirt on their house during a house wash. When you're washing the house and you're washing the lower portion of the house, there's going to be dirt that builds up. I have had about 20% of the clients that I did house washes for. It says in our terms and conditions, we wash organics only. So your algae, mildew, stuff like that, right? Green, yellow, black, whatever. Dirt, believe it or not, and clay, believe it or not, are not organic materials. That is an upcharge. They will come and talk to us and say, hey, look. And I am very, very upfront whenever I give the quote.
I was wondering why you missed that dirt upper nest on my parents' window.
Right. Right. But the thing is customers won't read the fine print. So I make it very apparent to say when I'm doing the quote, look, this will come off. This will not come off. This is an upcharge. This is included. And they don't. They either just skip through it or choose not to listen until after you're done with the work and then decide to come up with a complaint. So that's a very long, 3-minute conversation on why I'm trying to move commercial only. Mm-hmm. If I could do that, then I would 100% keep my trailer. I would completely or sell my trailer and build another trailer. Yeah. I'm still going to offer pressure washing through the network of people that I've built. There are 2 people that I will pick. One is south of me and one is in the same location as me, depending on where I get to work or what the scope of work is and what it requires. I will not only recommend, I will give the customer, residential or commercial, a quote with my markup on it and with their price. Yeah. They will be the ones that go out and complete the work. under my insurance policy. So subcontracting is definitely going to play a big part in my company in 2024, but I'm getting rid of a lot of a headache. I'm just going to be dealing with the end user. And it goes back to that passive income, right? Like we talked about in the last episode. Passive income is a scam. I'm telling you right now, passive income is a scam. Sure, I won't have to complete the work, but I'm still going to have to be sending everybody information on, hey, can you get a quote for this? And then sending that to the end user and then saying, hey, this is the day you're going to need to work. This is the day that I will be completing this work, or one of my partner or affiliate companies will be completing the work. So that's kind of my plans for 2024 as far as growth goes. Another company that, again, I'm talking to you about, we can't disclose because we're under a confidentiality agreement.
Yep.
But that's another one that we will hopefully be able to talk about within the next couple of months, couple of episodes. Once we all get it, or once we get it all figured out. And yeah, so I don't know. I mean, what are your plans for growth?
Man, plans for growth. I think as of right now, I guess more than anything, I really want my company to be more of a brand. I do kind of want, like you're saying, the passive income, but it being...
Passive income is a scam. Do not say that I want passive income.
No. I want my company to be a brand more than anything.
Me too.
I want it to be at least known, local here in Texas, if not further than that. But I just want it to be known, something that can make money without, whether it's merchandise, whether it's the podcast, whether it's whatever. As of right now, my plan is talking with you on this next venture. But honestly, if I can get somebody that I can hire to do some of the service side without cleaning pools, then that's kind of really what I'm trying to get at.
Absolutely.
Whether it's a pool school, whether it's a startup, something just to keep people informed. So I think at the end of the day, I'm not 100% sure. I think I might have to get back to you on that one.
No, absolutely. We can definitely talk about it in a future episode. So with that, thank you for tuning in to the Astrocraft Grow Influence Invest podcast. I'm your host, Seth Mills, joined by
your co-host, Nik Dawson.
Thank you guys for listening, and we will see you guys in the next episode. We will talk about a little bit of our growth and strategies on how we invested our money, or at least invested our money back into the business.
Yeah.
And how we plan to grow in 2024.
Stay sassy.